Please give a warm Titan welcome to this year's distinguished alumnus, Mr. Ravin Gandhi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was kind of surreal. I want to thank Principal Fagel and Assistant Principal Moranto for selecting me as the 2021 Glenbrook South Distinguished Alumni. It's truly an honor to be back here after 31 years, which is just crazy. I've been walking around and it's so cool. I am actually going to keep this very short, and I'm going to tell you guys two things. I'm going to tell you a little bit about dealing with failure. I'm going to tell you a little bit about dealing with success. Now, after that interminably long introduction, you guys probably don't think that I might have experienced that much failure in my life. I am willing to bet that never has there been anyone who was selected for this award that had a worse track record at Glenbrook South than me. And no one ever believes me. And if you don't believe me, just Google my name, Ravin Gandhi, and the word grades, because CNBC has posted all 4 years of my Glenbrook South report cards on their website. Over 500,000 people have downloaded my report cards on the CNBC website, and if you do that, you will see C's, you will see D's, and oh yes, you will see F's. I was a horrible student when I was at Glenbrook South. I did not work hard. I had excuses for everything. I thought every teacher had it in for me. And literally, I was a mess. And because of this, I did not get into college. I applied to 6 universities: University of Illinois in Champaign, Indiana, Iowa, Wisconsin, Purdue, and Michigan State. 0 for 6. No safety school. As you might imagine, my parents were horrified by the situation. And then, very thankfully, I got a letter from the University of Illinois. And it said, yes, we did reject you, but you had some pretty high test scores, even though you had an abhorrently low class rank. And we are having historically low matriculation in a certain major called kinesiology. And if you are willing to come to the University of Illinois as a kinesiology major, we will take you. I didn't know what kinesiology was, but I said, absolutely, I am there. So in the fall of 1990, I arrived in Champaign as a kinesiology major. And more importantly, it was the first time in my life that I actually owned what had happened to me and why I was there without making 1,000 excuses. And I did something amazing. I bought a backpack, and I bought pens, and I bought notebooks, and I went to class in college, and I wrote down everything the professor said. And I vividly remember the first exam that I took, and I knew all the answers. And I looked at the kid next to me, and I said, you know what they're asking us? This is just what they said in class. And he looked at me, he's like, that's how school works. Now, that's how twisted of a student I was. And from then on, I went on, and I basically got straight A's in college. And I transferred from the School of Kinesiology into the School of Business. But more importantly, and this is the point, I transformed as a person in college. I went from someone who could never be relied upon to someone who could basically always be relied upon. I was seen as someone who never had his act together when I was here. And by the end of college, I was seen as someone who always had his act together. I used to be kind of a follower, and then I kind of turned into a leader. And the point is, it all happened because I embraced the failure of my 4 years here and actually improved. And this is my first piece of advice to you guys about failure. You are all superstar people. I've been sitting around watching you guys come up here. I'm pretty awed at what this class has done, but I assure you, you are all going to fail at something in the future. Maybe it's next fall in a college class. Maybe you're going to get fired from a job someday. Maybe you're going to have a suboptimal athletic performance. Maybe you're going to have a problem in a personal relationship. And when that happens, my advice to you is embrace the failure, because I promise you, the ambition that I have inside of me, I can't even describe it. It's like a cauldron of ambition. It was forged in the failure that I had in high school. So now let's talk about the opposite of failure, which is success, of course. And by the time I graduated from Illinois, I thought I had a really good idea of how to succeed. My idea was take the goal that you look at and put it up on a pedestal and always focus on it and work your butt off. Have discipline, sacrifice, juggle multiple things, crawl through the mud, and eventually achieve your goal. Well, I studied really hard at Illinois because I wanted to go to Northwestern to get my MBA. And that happened, and I achieved that goal. Later, I started a business called GMM Nonstick Coatings, which you guys heard about in that intro, and I worked really, really hard to build that up to be one of the biggest companies in the world in my industry. We had plants all over the world, and the whole time I was doing it, what was on that pedestal? I was thinking, maybe someday, if I build this company big enough and well enough, some big company might acquire us. And lo and behold, 10 years later, a $10 billion Japanese company came out of the woodwork and they bought my business. Changed my life. So that was a goal achieved. And I then went on and I had a new goal, which was I'm going to invest in technology businesses. So I worked really hard and I looked at a whole bunch of startups and then invested in a few of them. And the pedestal goal was maybe one of these will be a breakout hit or $1 billion company or something. Now that has not happened yet. These companies have raised $500 million. We're not there yet, but it was a pretty decent goal. And the last one, which is the craziest, about 18 months ago, I decided to make a movie. I'd never done it. It was always a passion of mine. In fact, I was just downstairs looking at the posters. I was in a play in the fall of 1986 on this stage called Our Town by Thornton Wilder. And since then, I have had this passion to make a film. So anyway, everyone said don't do it. I shot it for 3 weeks, hired a bunch of actors, wrote a script, directed it. By some miracle, this movie got into a film festival, won an award, got released in February, made it into the top 10 on Apple TV, and just last month, it was bought by Amazon Prime Video. What is the point that I'm telling you guys all about success? It's probably not what you think it is. Do you know how I felt every single time I worked my tail off and I got to the top and achieved one of those goals that was up here? Do you know how I felt? I felt nothing. I felt nothing. I felt anticlimax. Are you kidding me? I worked so hard for so long to do this, and then you achieve it? I mean, I felt good for a couple hours, but then it's like, what's next? And this is the point about success. Success is all about the journey. The value of achievement is in the achieving. I'm going to say that again. The value of achievement is in the achieving. You guys have to learn, as very successful people, how to enjoy getting there. Which brings me to my final point. You guys are all going to go to college very soon. It's going to be the funnest part of your life. I envy you. It's going to be so awesome. While you are there, I want you guys to think about one question. Ask yourself, what would I do if they didn't pay me? What do I love to do so much that I would crawl under a wall and do it for free? And if you can find that thing and connect it to your major somehow, please, please do it. Because it has been 31 years for me since I've been sitting in these seats. I've seen a lot of things, and what I have realized is this. I only know of one way to truly be happy in this world, and that is to be working your butt off on something that you love to do. That is the only way I've discovered to find happiness. And I am sure you are all sitting out there right now going, well, I don't know what I want to do. That's completely fine. I just don't want you to sleepwalk through the next 4 years, because our society and our educational system makes it really hard to connect what you love to do and your major. So try to be intentional about it. Try to think about it. Because if you do, you will end up, I think, with a very, very good shot at having a happy, wonderful, and successful life, which is what I wish for all of you. Class of 2021, Glenbrook South, thank you very much. It's been an honor to talk to you. Yes.
Thank you for the words of inspiration, Mr. Gandhi. Now, here to present you with the Distinguished Alumni Award is our principal, Dr. Lauren Fagel.